Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another Monday morning webinar. I apologize to everybody. The mail was just flooding my inbox, and actually a lot of snail mail came in because everybody missed me last week. And then of course Scott Colbert was supposed to fill in, and then he wasn't here. But anyways, we've got through it, and I just want to be. I want to be the last to wish you a happy new year and so forth. So we're excited. We're ready to go for another great week. It's an empty nest right now. Bob is floating down the hallways somewhere, probably with Todd. So it just may be the Mike Show. But anyways, this morning I'm going to deliver my first 3-pack of the year. Just a couple great marketing ideas that I've discovered and that I've used in my own personal business. Todd will be here hopefully for his look at the numbers. Matt Baker will also be here hopefully for the Mortgage Minute, and then Scott Colbert, who's actually here right now, he is going to give us some tips on becoming a master salesperson. And if you've never had the privilege of hearing Scott talk and teach, it's absolutely phenomenal stuff, and really just great tips and great motivation. As usual, if throughout the morning you have questions or comments or would like to get a hold of us, you can always send us a message right there through the webinar format there, but you can also reach us later on in the day by sending us an email at webinar@westusa.com. A lot of people request copies of the slides and the information that was presented throughout the morning. So if you like that, you can always reach me at webinar@westusa. So with that being said, Todd, before we turn you loose, and it's nice of you and Bob to show up. Good to see you guys.
Nice to see you as well, Mike.
I've got my house listed out there in Goodyear. Been really slow. It's been on the market for a while, and everybody always says if it's been on the market, it's a price issue. I've had many people take a look at it, including agents calling, well, there's nothing wrong with the price. But with that being said, this being the first full weekend of the new year, it was like a revolving door of agents coming and showing.
You know, that is exactly what's happening. And it was happening actually right before the end of the year, too. If you remember the conversation, we were talking about the fact that the market didn't shut off over the holidays like it typically does the last quarter of the year. So, you know, that is true. Going into 2015, we are still seeing the same thing. We don't have, I didn't put in today or didn't prepare to discuss, but Armless has a statistic that any agent can go to. You just go onto the Armless website, and not the Flex site, but the actual armless.com, and you can find they even have a report that shows the Armless lockbox openings and showings report. And I think that's really important for people that want to know, you know, how it doesn't just describe the kind of people that are walking through open houses, but it certainly tells what's the, you know, how many people are actually keying the box, how many, old-fashioned term, how many people are actually plugging in their code and opening the lockbox and taking the key out, Mike. I mean, that's a great way to stay up on the fact of you know, is my house showing better than others because of a particular reason, or is the market just hot?
Yeah, and that's interesting because when we take a look at the market statistics, we're basically looking at contracts. And contracts, yes, is always a good indication of how the market's doing and the activity, but man, just to see how many people are actually opening up doors, that's a phenomenal tool.
You know, and it really is, especially if you're going to take the time to really understand your market better. And, you know, people don't want to be interrupted, so it's nice to have that report handy. You know what? Thinking about it, I'll be more than happy to bring it on the next for next week and let everybody take a look at that. Taking a look at the numbers, you know, that yes, we look at the closings or pendings; those are important. You know, there's nothing really that we have to go out there as far as how many offers were written on a house, and you know, and how many offers haven't been accepted. But certainly, if you're a listing agent, those are things you want to take into consideration. It isn't always price, but there's something, and you know, and maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot, Mike, but you know, maybe going back to those people that have shown the house and say, you know, what are the reasons why your buyer ended up not buying it, and at least you'd know. And so would our agents that are out there. But taking a look at the marketplace, inventory is up again.
Hold on, I just feel like I got slapped upside the head there. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well,
that
no, this goes back. Yeah, this goes back to your listing agent. You know, and is the listing agent following all the practical things that the listing agent would do to be able to provide the seller, you, Mike, with that information? So you know, go talk to your real estate agent a little bit, spank them. Okay, so back on track. Inventory is up. Inventory is up a little bit. You know, we were down over the last quarter of, or excuse me, the last week of the year. But again, that's absolutely stereotypical. West USA listings are back up over 1,000. That was a very short period we were under, but back up to 1,013. That's about where we've been averaging. Listing inventory is now up again to 2,138 new listings in the last week. If you took a look at the history, we were averaging about 1,200 through the holidays. So again, bounced immediately, Mike, right back, just like you were talking about. Pendings are up 13.9%. Closed units are down a little bit year over year. But again, this is the first week of the year. I mean, last week we reported December numbers. Right now we're talking about, the last 10 days. Come on. I mean, let's give it a little time to incubate. But as far as the market out there is concerned, we're sitting still at about 88 days on market. Month supply was a little high coming off the holidays, close to 7-8 months. But again, it goes back to the fact that we're eating up the inventory at about, I'd say half of what we normally have would in a normal brisk market. But again, we're just coming off the holidays. So it's a tough week for a big report. There's not a lot of detail because of the fact that there's not a lot happening right at this particular moment.
We've gotten about 4 or 5 messages of people wanting to know where they can get this information, get a copy of this slide.
Okay, this slide right now is already posted to mywestusa.com. You go to the downloads tab, and then you look down to market statistics, and you'll find this report. You'll also find the spreadsheet report, which I do, and usually I only show you guys once per month, but that's on there as well in both a JPEG and a PDF format for you to use with your social media.
All right, and then we've had a couple people notice that I included the wrong date at the bottom, so this is for Monday, January 12th.
Oh, this isn't Mike's problem. This is Todd's problem. I forgot to make that change. It is. This is for Monday, January 12th. I apologize, and I'll update the slide.
Okay, well, appreciate it, Todd. Yeah, I have, and I tell you, I've talked with a lot of people, and most of my friends really aren't very knowledgeable, but I go ahead and go on their opinions. But no, but a lot of my knowledgeable friends out there in the real estate market, people are excited about this year as far as a solid year of real estate transactions. So as always here at West USA, our commitment is to help you be a better agent, and at the end of the day, increase your bottom line.
You know, the 2014 NAR profile of home buyers and home sellers just came out. I will have that also on the download at mywestusa.com. There's 2 sections, one right there which talks about market stats, and then there's another section right below it which provides some real important information for agents. Click on both those.
All right. Thanks, Todd. All right. Let's dive right on into my first 3-pack of the year.
We missed that last week, Mike.
Yeah, I know. And like I said, my email box was just flooded. Lori downstairs just got a lot of mail coming in, just everybody missing me and really feeling like that they couldn't be productive last week without it. So I made up and I actually put some thought into that. No, I always put some thought into it. But so here are my 3-pack of tips on great marketing ideas. I'm amazed on how many agents actually don't do this. Marketing ourselves is imperative. We are a business. We are the CEO of our own company. And like any company, any corporation out there, and we always see it this time of year with the ramping up of the Super Bowl, marketing is a big deal. And so I think it's important for all agents to set aside 1 day a week or a block of time each week, whether it's a 3 to 4 hour period where you go somewhere where you can be creative. And not on the couch in front of your TV eating bonbons and so forth, but wherever it is, wherever you find that time to be creative, also to have access to the internet and research ideas. Spend time, find out. I mean, you can Google just about anything, real estate marketing ideas, great tips on marketing my business. Find out what the most successful agents are doing out there. And also, this is the time to plan out your social media. If you're into social media and you utilize that as part of your business, which I highly recommend, that is the time, every day for most of us, we just wake up, go, okay, man, I gotta figure out what I'm going to put on Facebook. I got to figure out what I'm going to do here. I got to figure out what I'm doing there. Set aside a time each week where you plan that stuff out, because the more purpose that you have in your marketing efforts, in my opinion, the more successful that you'll be. And put together your marketing materials. I mean, each week, you should be finding out what marketing materials are being well received by your clients and which marketing materials that you think are hot and aren't. And reevaluate those. So, Todd, I think it's just imperative that we just spend. I mean, we are marketing our own business. Obviously, unlike a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi or a Bud Light, we don't have the deep pockets for marketing.
National promo.
But there are some things out there. And I'll tell you one thing that I do as a marketer, and Todd, I know you do this all the time because you drop stuff on my desk all the time, is what are the other successful agents and companies doing?
Yeah, you kind of have to go into it always thinking, how are you going to become the real estate agent that's going to put you out of business in your own area? I mean, really, what is it that the consumers want? And this is another thing that you can do, and another reason why maybe after the first of the year, you can take a moment, try to reach out to some of your old clientele, and take the ones and say, listen, I was just wondering if you would help me.
Okay?
Why, did you have something on that?
Now. You're still
Didn't
on my
see your
thunder.
slides, Mike. I'm sorry. But it's a darn good idea.
Thank you. Okay, so set aside. You have to set aside a day, a block of time where you just go somewhere, and I would also say this: have your email off, your phone off,
Uninterrupted.
so it's you and your computer, and you're doing the research, and you're brainstorming, and you're taking a look at. And I always used to, when I was keep that little notebook in your car, or have a recorder in your car when you think of an idea, you hear something on the radio, boom, you have to put that down somewhere so that when you get together and Bob is breaking out his recorder, is that an 8-track tape?
I think portable 8-track came out of his coat pocket.
So spend some time. Number 2 is I think a big mistake, especially newer agents. We get in there, we're obviously hunting down the next deal. We need to become an expert in one area, and so I think we choose a one target market at a time, whether it's rentals, whether it's listings, whether it's purchases, whether it's commercial. And if it's commercial, what type of commercial? Apartment buildings and so forth. Or new homes. And it's not to say that you can't do other things when the opportunity presents itself. But if you're going to perfect something and you're going to spend the 3 or 4 hours or a day a week creating ideas to market your business, put your attention on that, because the other types of businesses will fall into place. But you don't want to spend half of your devotion on listings, half of it on purchasing, and then therefore you got so many things going that you're really not getting a whole lot of business.
And it's kind of like internet marketing. Everybody's gone to internet marketing because they don't want to have to make the personal one-on-one phone call anymore, but it's that personal one-on-one phone call that makes this business. In addition to that, the other aspect is that, you don't have to, like Mike said, you don't have to be the Coca-Cola, of the real estate agents. All you need to know are your numbers. Scott Colbert, who's with us today, who does React and is also one of our master coach here that oversees our coaching program. He'll tell you straight out. You got to know your numbers. If you don't, you don't need to let the Southwest region of the United States know who you are. You don't even really need to let the state of Arizona know who you are. What you need to have is you need to have the proper number of people who need to hear about you, so that the conversion rates and the percentages and the rules of thumb work on your behalf, so that you can close the number of deals that you want. It's a lot easier than you think. And if you'd like to know more about how easy it is, you should reach out and talk to one of the coaches, or reach for Scott Colbert himself, and he'll be happy to take you through the 2015 goal planning sheet.
So simplify your focus and become the expert in that area. And then number 3, Todd kind of stole my thunder here, but focus on current clients for leads. Referrals are the cheapest form of marketing, and I know we talk often. I've recently, and you've recently, have really gotten into the Shark Tank show.
Oh, absolutely, love it.
And one of the questions that the sharks always ask is the cost of a new client.
That's right.
The cost of a new client is always exponentially higher than the cost of an existing client. And using that referral base is a lot cheaper than all the marketing efforts to go out and find the new dude or dudette on the street looking to buy a home. So it's imperative, and sending out a card that has a sticker that says, "I love referrals." Okay, whether that's the way that you do it or not, that is not enough.
Nope.
And we think, oh, we've done it. Pat myself on the shoulders. I've asked for a referral. There's a lot of different ways to ask for referrals, but that should be one of the, if not the most integral part of your marketing plan, of focusing, of spending the time, always thinking of a reason. It goes back, it goes back to my dating days, before I married my wife. I'll keep it clean. But, there's a girl like you. You're always trying to think of reasons to have to call.
Yeah.
And the same thing with our referrals. Think of reasons to have to contact them, whether delivering them solid information, and then you can take whatever path you want in getting down to the point where you're asking for referrals. But if you're not spending time on your existing clients, you're wasting away opportunities and money.
Brian Buffini's been talking this story for years. Instead of reaching out for new clientele, put the money, time, and energy into the people that you already know, rather than the people that you don't. And this new guy, Michael Mayer, who's out there with Gen, the 7 levels to communication, again, the same kind of thing. Spend the time speaking to people that are already in your sphere of influence. Realistically, you don't need that many people in your database. You really don't. What you need to do is work the database.
Exactly. Boom.
Boom.
And that's how a 3-pack is delivered. All right. A few announcements. Next Monday is Martin Luther King, and in honor of Martin Luther King and the holiday, our offices will be closed, and so we will not have a webinar next Monday. So just wanted to make sure that everybody knows.
That's why you said it was okay for me to bring that next week, right?
Yeah, that's why I just said, hey, talk all you want next week, okay? You and Nick. So we'll return Monday, January 26th. So just make note of that.
And we can all go watch Selma next week.
Yes.
That might be a good idea, too. I think I'll do that. I want to see the show.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's a great opportunity. So, and then for those of us that have kids that are off and who's got a wife going out of town, well, I'm locked and loaded. I know what I'm doing next Monday. Babysitting. My wife always tells me it's not babysitting when it's your own kids.
That's right.
That's not. It's couldn't be further from the truth. Now that I've offended everybody, here's a huge. I am as a. I'm going to go a little negative here. I don't like to go too negative, but in my position here, I receive a lot of the emails and phone calls of things that people aren't necessarily pleased with, would like to see better off, and so forth. I will tell you, if you don't take the time to complete our annual survey, to rate us, to let us know how that we're doing, to offer your opinion, and this survey is not going to take more than 5 minutes, unless you've really got something to say, which is fine, then don't complain.
Well, I see where you're coming from on that one.
So I'm trying to just relay the importance. Every single person should have received this in their inbox. You will receive it again today in your inbox. It's on the dashboard. It's on Facebook. This is so important to us because I have never worked for a company. I've never worked for a brokerage. I'm a licensed real estate agent, so I've been around. I've been to a lot of brokerages that is as committed to providing the tools and the resources necessary for our agents to succeed in their real estate business.
Absolutely.
Part of that equation is hearing from you, is knowing your opinions and your feelings on it, because we only want to get better.
Absolutely. It's like people, whether it's talking about school lunches or teachers or whatever it is, there's organizations designed to hear those complaints. If you're talking about it at home, or you're talking about it at a party, or you're talking about it to other people, it doesn't do any good. You got to go to the horse's mouth. If you got a problem with government, go talk to government. If you got a problem with schools, go to the PTO. If you got a problem here at West USA and you don't let us know, we can't fix the problem. And that's what we're here for. We're here to listen. We try to reach out. We give a lot of different vehicles to be able to to reach out and to hear and listen to you. Suggestion box at westusa.com has been one of them. This is just one other tool that we give annually to ask for your assistance.
Yep, and we value your feedback so much that every single person that completes the survey will be entered to win a drawing, a $300, a $150, or a $50 gas card.
Gift card that goes a long way today.
Especially today.
Yeah, $1.89 a gallon.
You're done. You're done for the next 6 months in gas. So if you win that,
6 months. People can't get to work in 6 months.
So complete the survey,
That's
and you can
pretty
win
good,
one of the 3 gift cards. So please just ask. And yes, and I'll somewhat apologize ahead of time. We don't really have a way to know who completed, who didn't, as far as our system. So if you've completed it, we want to thank you, but you may continue to get notices and emails for the next couple weeks. So, but please get to that and fill that out for us. We have a couple Zillow classes coming up. We have one of them Tuesday, January 13th. That's tomorrow in our Mesa office. So this is a great Zillow 101 class, how to leverage Zillow tools to grow your business. Zillow is such an intricate part. Millions and millions of people utilize this nationwide for home searches. So so this is a free class, free opportunity, and there's the email address there at the bottom if you've got some questions and you want some more information. But that is tomorrow at the Mesa office from 10 to 11, and then Wednesday we have one in the Kierland Scottsdale office from 1 to 2. So
remember, these are taught by a person from Zillow. So, this is not your average, local affiliate, even though some of our affiliates have great technology information. This is actually someone directly from Zillow. So bring all your questions about Zillow. Bring all the information. If you have a question as to why you get leads or don't get leads or any of those kinds of things, go to this program and learn how to maximize and leverage their tools.
All right, so that's it in the way of announcements. Please, 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 please complete that survey for us. All right, so with that, we've got Matt Baker here from the Bookspan Baker team at Home Street. Give us a little bit of a look at the market. Matt, how are you, and what's going on in the market?
Morning.
Good morning.
I have to say, Mike, that was probably one of your best 3-packs I've ever heard.
Thanks, buddy.
I don't want to pump you up. I mean, that month off maybe was with no webinars. I mean, that did you right.
Too.
That did you right. You're ready to rock and roll for the new year. Market rate update. Let's just jump into it. And one of the things that and the top of the slide says treading water and waiting for what, right? What is happening in the marketplace? And I would say probably in late December it was oil news, and it was reactions to some of these other non-traditional type indicators in the marketplace. And so this week, I think it's sort of back to reality, and we're going to start to see some technical movement, like the jobs numbers are going to weigh in a little bit more, right? The holiday reporting earnings and things like that. So if you look at interest rates, they're still really, really good. And it's, and there's even an opportunity, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit, for maybe a little refinance boom to come in. And so our focus.
I haven't heard that term.
The little refi boom.
I haven't heard that term in a long time.
Mini boom. Maybe that dates me a little bit, but I've gone through
I just meant refinance.
Oh, refinance? Well, I can tell you that our commitment at the Bookspan Baker team is for purchase business, and it's to make sure that we deliver high quality to our agent partners. And there is an opportunity in the refinance game. We'll handle that sort of outside of the team and make sure we continue high level standards for our agent partners. But go ahead.
One of the thought might be just quickly is if there is that little boom, then what are the parameters that would need to be met for that? Not necessarily maybe for today, but for 2 weeks from today, or today if you can pull it out of the bag of tricks, so that an agent would know about which of their clients pick up the phone call and recontact right now. Maybe there's an opportunity to have an excuse to get back on the phone with a client they haven't yet talked to in the last couple of months.
I think there's an opportunity for that, and I would say that if you were looking for a number of like what's the rate gap, I think 1% is always a good rule of thumb. But I'm going to talk about in my next slide some FHA changes. Don't do it yet. Go back. Is the FHA changes that would actually cause that to be maybe half a point.
Ooh.
So we'll talk a little bit about
I'm on
that.
the edge of my seat now.
Conventional loan rates, obviously 4%, 95. You can read the slide. Still really, really good. I put in over 660 on an FHA. 3.625. That's a phenomenal rate on an FHA loan. And guess what? FHA just dropped their MI, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Jumbo rates at 4% still pretty good. So FHA update. Some of you may or may not have known, but Obama came into town and actually gave this news here.
If you were on I-10,
yeah,
Thursday,
if you were in the central corridor area around 11 o'clock on whatever day that was, you were in trouble. You weren't getting anywhere. But in our backyard, they announced this reduction in the FHA mortgage insurance. And based on FHA's response that day, they may have been in the dark on that. I don't think they quite knew, but they reacted quickly. And by Friday night, actually, I think it came out at like 5 o'clock our time, so East Coast time. It was pretty late. They came out, and effective January 26th, FHA will reduce their mortgage insurance premium 0.5%. So from 1.35 to 0.85%. And this is all for loans greater than 15 years. Right. Now, one of the big coolness factors of this is that they're going to allow for case number reassignment. What? So when FHA goes under, when you start an FHA loan, you order a case number,
right?
And that case number is tied to that, stays with that property, for a while. And they're going to allow the case number to be reassigned for a 30-day period around January 26th. So for those loans, unfortunately, closing prior to probably the end of the month, there's not going to be. We don't really have the procedures for this yet from FHA. I hate to use the term, but maybe they're out of luck. Yeah. But anything really closing after February, they're going to allow for the case number to be reassigned. So they can cancel the old one, issue a new one, transfer it to get the appraisal transferred over. There's a bunch of steps that have to be done, but that's the way for them to allow you to have the lower MI premium. So now you've got, let's say, a 600 credit score at a 3.75 interest rate. Your MI premium is now no longer 1.35, it's 0.85. Wow. Now, the flip side of that is on a refinance environment where they purchased a home. Maybe they did a home in 5. Maybe they did, some other, their rates are in the mid to high 4s, and they have a 1.35. Yep. Well, now you can get almost a point lower, maybe 3/4 a point lower in interest rate, and a 0.5 point lower in MI premium. Oh, wow. Now you're saving a couple $100 a month, that's depending amazing. On your loan amount. So there's going to be that's why I said there's going to be a little refinance opportunity, but we're going to handle those people as we come, but we're not going to integrate it into our purchase business and our real estate referral network because we don't want to impact the service levels there. But it is a good opportunity, and it's something that, again, the first of the year, it's always great to start off a conversation with some really good news and something to call your people about. This would be something to call your people about.
And this would be also something to Google and try to learn a little bit more about yourself. And what a great social media piece, for you to start talking about on your website.
This is what I would be getting. Yeah. This is the piece of information that I'd be getting to all my potential buyers right now.
And at the Bookspan Baker Team Facebook page, if you haven't liked us already, you can like us. And we will. We have some info on there that you can share as well.
Or stop by because you guys are in our offices.
And stop by in your office. I'm actually doing a Circle Picks training tomorrow from 11 to noon in Scottsdale. If anybody wanted to learn about that in Scottsdale, We've got all our
And by the way, CirclePix, for everybody that's out there, that's a listing tool that you have that our illustrious relationship with the Booksman and Baker team provides, and it's just a huge asset to being more efficient and potentially closing more, getting more listings.
yeah, and we're going to make it interactive. Is
Yeah.
my hope. So help how to integrate it and things like that into your social media tools and all that. So anyway,
All right, Matt.
That's what I got.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, that's actually that's one of your better ones of ever. So wow, look at us.
full of compliments, aren't we?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of money flowing because it's Barrett Jackson week, and so there's a lot of dough floating around the Phoenix marketplace.
Yeah, so folks, get your information on this. Know this one, because if it's lost on you, it shouldn't be, and you need to grasp your head around this. Pop into one of the offices, pop into one of our reps, and learn as much as you can. Because, like I said, if I was a buyer's agent, this is the one piece of information that'd be in front of every buyer by the end of the day. All right, so
Hey, quick question, Matt. This also makes it easier for people to qualify, right?
Absolutely.
all right, there you go. All right, so now we have Scott Colbert. He's got some big shoes to fill. I'm obviously delivering at a
Peak
high
performance,
octane
man.
today.
Wow.
Matt Baker is. Todd,
Well, it wasn't much there.
So Scott, welcome.
Shouldn't be too hard to fill a size
So
4.
you got 3 tips on becoming a master salesperson.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. And yeah, Matt, that was great news. I completely agree with that. Any opportunity we have, to get on the phone and reach out to our past clients and those people that are on the fence, I mean, we got to look for those opportunities. Maybe those people right now that are thinking about making a move, the home you sold them 2 years ago is maybe just the street's a little too busy or something like that. I think that's great information to maybe get people out there and get them looking again. So what we're going to talk about today is I have 3 tips on becoming a master salesperson. And the reason I want to talk about this is because there's a misconception, I think, out there, Todd. When agents get out there in the field, they think that they're going to have a neon sign over their door that says, I'm in the real estate business, right? And that all of a sudden they're just going to start, getting busy. They're just going to start selling real estate. But we all know that doesn't happen without a plan. So the 3 things we'll talk about, tip number 1, is having a business-oriented schedule. I think it's really important. We need to set hours like a real business. Maybe not necessarily like Denny's model that we're always open, but have a.
Some agents think that.
Some agents think that. But, you have to have some real time. You have to have business hours. Maybe it's 8 to 5, maybe it's 8 to 6 or 9 to 7 or whatever that is. And within that time, you really need to separate your day into, a few main components. One is your prospecting and lead generation time. You have to have a bracket of time somewhere in that morning or mid-afternoon where you're actually out looking for business. And those of you that know me know I always say if you stop looking for business, you'll stop finding business. I mean, it's pretty simple. Why is the market slow? The market's not slow. You are.
Yeah. If you stop, what's your favorite line? If you stop,
Yeah, I just said, yeah. If you stop looking for business, you stop finding business.
stop
So
finding it,
yeah, that's absolutely it. Homes sell every single day, even when the market is perceived slow by some. If you look, there's still thousands of homes selling. What that means is there's thousands of commission checks going out to the people that are working.
Thousands of realtors working.
There are. In fact, I just came across a quote this morning that said, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard." And I absolutely love that. So don't worry about if you're new or if how are you going to compete with those experienced agents. You just have to be able to outwork your competition.
And I think what we can also do, I think, okay, and I mentioned earlier, we are our own CEO. We pretty much are the CEO of our own company. So I would look back on each day and say, as the CEO of my real estate company, if my employee that worked for me worked like I did today, how long would they be around?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
And that's at peak, Mike.
This is hypothetical.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, but I'm serious. As a realtor, sometimes the way that we approach the day, we get into it so we can work for ourselves, make our own hours. We don't want to necessarily put in the time.
Yeah.
We wouldn't last.
No, that's it. I tell the story often years ago when I used to own a real estate company. One of my agents came to me and said, Scott, the way that the market's been, I think I need to go out and find a part-time job. And I said, to this particular agent, I said, you don't need a part-time job. You need to start working your full-time job that you have now. And that's really what it boils down to. Also in our business-oriented schedule, you need to have lead follow-up time. We talk about prospecting and lead generation, but what about follow-up? Do we have a time block for reaching out to those people that we met at the door 2 or 3 days ago or at the grocery store? What are we doing with those leads that we're working so hard for? Lead follow-up is a big one.
A lot of times if the client doesn't bite the agent and pretty much put the money in their pocket, the agent isn't sure and goes along waiting for that next person to bite the hook. They don't really take the time to nurture their business, which is a shame. There's a comment out there too that says don't confuse action with progress, which is just because you might be at the office doesn't mean you're finding clients and making money. You know, you got to
get me started on that.
No,
one.
I know. Seriously. But I want to say this to, for all the work at home parents, people with kids and whatnot, some that are still young enough not even to go to school yet. This is one of those things. When you say, Scott, work. When you say set working hours like a real business, you can be open for a business with kids in the background. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. People understand that. Even if kids are crying in the background, people on the other end of the phone, they understand that. You don't have to make it sound like you're working in a 14-tower building down on Central.
Absolutely. That's why I say here, it's you have to have an action-based schedule. So it's not about working hours. It's about what are you getting done in those hours. The last two bullet points there will kind of tie in together. I always say realtors are the ones responsible for the 16-hour workday, right? You've heard me talk about this one. It's because realtors feel guilty about doing nothing, so they do nothing for 16 hours.
Longer periods.
Right. So they can look back and say, look, I was at the office for 16 hours. I'm very successful. What about that agent that goes out there and makes 50 new contacts before noon and goes home and passes out by the pool? I mean, wouldn't that agent be considered more successful?
Yeah. Well, you can either work effectively for 3 hours or you can work ineffectively for longer.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I completely agree
with
that.
You guys have a hidden camera in my office?
Probably, yeah, probably. Yeah, speaking of passing out. But basically, on the summary, your schedule needs to have your prospecting time, your lead follow-up time, time for giving presentations and writing contracts, and, of course, working on your files and just your basic office work. You need to have time for all that. I like what Mike touched on earlier, which is about setting up your social media time. That's a real key component, I think, because you need to schedule time to get your systems in place for that week without it taking up your entire day. We're always looking for the path of least resistance.
Well, if you spend 4 hours, like Mike said, you could set up a whole week's schedule through Hootsuite, and people think you're working all the time.
That's exactly right, and that's one of the main focuses we have at React, exactly, to set that up. So moving on to the next slide, tip number 2, master lead generation prospecting techniques. So we need to talk about how do you find prospects, right? Because we say that's a very important part of our day. As we know, reaching out to past clients, your sphere of influence is a really good source of business. Asking for referrals, like Michael Mayer suggests, reaching out and expanding. How can you expand their business to help you build your own business? Great concept.
People got to stop trying to sell people.
Exactly.
Into real estate. You just have to reach out and have more conversations with more people.
It's about relationships, and it is like the contact sport. We talk about expired listings, cold doors, for sale by owners, farm, client parties, just getting out there talking to people. People we talk to all the time in the coaching end of things here. They'll talk about how they ran into someone at Costco, or how they I have some gal that I'm working with that she ran into somebody at Party City. Don't be a secret agent. Get out there and talk to people about real estate. It couldn't be any simpler. It's not an easy business, right? But it's a very simple one. It really is. You just have to get out there and go to work. So how to find prospects? Again, that's easy. Look around you, right? Well, I want a $10,000 commission check. Well, look for people that are live in homes that cost $350,000 to $400,000. Piece of cake, right? You can actually predict your income. How about that? Knowing how to qualify your prospect. Again, people often forget this simple thing. It's not about the things that you say to a prospect. It's about the questions that you ask. How many times have we gone to a doctor or an attorney for some professional need, and they sat there and talked about themselves for an hour, right? They were asking us questions. They were qualifying us. How can they help us? Where are the holes that we can fill here? What can I do for you? And that's what really sets apart the master salesperson, I think, from the amateur. It's not an ego. I mean, it is an ego-based business. It shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be. Also, you need to ask those qualifying questions to determine motivation and their ability to perform on a contract. Right? You hear people all the time saying, "Well, I've been working with this buyer for 8 months." Well, shame on you. You shouldn't be doing that. If you're asking the right questions and you're listening to the answers, it just shouldn't be that difficult.
Well, and also we should be. And it seems so simple, but I think this gets lost. We should be writing down those answers.
Absolutely.
I mean, we should have a file on each prospect, so that everything that we learn about that person, even at the personal level, the name of their dog, and whatever the case is, so that we can always revert back to that or refer back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about that personal touch and building those relationships. What is it, Todd? You probably know the numbers better than I do, but what is it in the neighborhood of 85 to 90% of people? If you've done business with them in the past, that repeat business could encompass 85 to 90% of your business if you just stay in touch with them.
Absolutely.
It really is funny that all these people that are past clients that we don't talk to, isn't it funny that most people we've sold real estate to have bought and sold homes before, but where are their agents at? somebody let go of them, right?
Mhm.
Which is what gives us the opportunity to work with them. So what do you think is going to happen to our business if we stop reaching out to them? So all these people we have in the bank we think are our past clients, call them up. You might find they're someone else's past client.
Sound like Clay Phelps.
Yeah. Well, very wise then. I must be doing something right. Anyway, so obviously we want to be able to master and overcome the common objections, right? It's like an open book test. I mean, if you're out there, I mean, it really is. They all say the same thing. It's about, I don't want to list for your commission. I don't want to list it at that price. I don't want to sign a 90-day or 6-month listing or something like that. If you educate the prospect based on the process and get them to trust you and believe in what you're saying, they'll do business with pretty much the first agent that makes sense to them. I mean, that's the absolute truth. So, so again, know how to find the prospects. We cover that. Know how to qualify the prospects. Very important. And master overcoming the common objections. Again, it is an open book test, so we can definitely agree on that. If you master those objections, you're going to make more sales. One thing going back to overcome the common objections, don't be afraid to ask the right questions to draw out the objection you're not getting. Because remember, it's an open book test. There are questions that need to be answered or you're not going to pass. And in this business, failing that test can cost you $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 of opportunity.
And sometimes that question they ask isn't really the root question. You have to
Exactly
ask,
right.
and I think that's what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is you have to sometimes ask them a question to the question
Exactly.
to get them to go a couple of levels deep before you really uncover the real issue.
That's it. If you're not asking them about, have you thought about selling your home for sale by owner? Have you thought about, or have you talked to other agents that are charging, 3 and 4%? Ask those questions because they're thinking about those. And if you don't address that, they won't have the information to make the decision to list with you at that moment. From that perspective goes. On tip number 3, exceeding the expectation. Again, become a master presenter. Exceed the expectation. It's easy to meet the expectation. I expect you to sell my house, or I expect you to find me a house. But when we exceed that expectation, wouldn't we want to stay in contact with that seller or buyer once a week at least? At least have that opportunity. When I was in the field, I always told people, I'm going to contact you once a week, which is something that we find a lot of agents aren't doing. And the reason for that is because the basic communication. You might hear from me on Sunday, but I'm going to call you on Monday because that's our set time, even if you hear from me on Sunday. So you can rest assured we're going to have that open communication. Becoming a master presenter, you want to be able to use the right tools, to be able to get across your message. You want to be able to point out things like, what can you do for them with things like, Lister Assister and some of the tools like that we're going to use, Circle Picks and things like that. Again, overcoming those objections, but being able to present what it is that you do different. Asking those questions, knowing that you're going to be there to solve the need that they have of buying or selling is really going to set you apart. I always say here, under promise and over deliver.
Lived my whole life that way.
Yeah,
I
right.
tell people to set their expectations of me real low, and they will not be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah, set the bar so high you trip over it.
But that's funny. You should say set the expectations. A great master presenter, that's what they're doing. Is they're setting the expectation, so that way you and the consumer walk away from that meeting understanding what those expectations are.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So you want to set those expectations, and that was one of the things I got from the Michael Mayer event when he came out here was, when you're working with the prospect or working with the buyer, and you say, look, every home's going to have a home inspection, and they're typically going to find 50 or 60 things with the property. You're going to ask for maybe 15 or 20 or whatever that is. You really set that expectation. So when they only find like 12 things wrong with the property, you look like a hero, or the property looks great. And that was a really good takeaway there.
We need we got to have you back. I'd like to really expand on becoming a master presenter, because one of the things when we both talked about setting a schedule, and I talked about setting up a time during the week where we're going to focus on our marketing, and you talk about setting up a schedule and so forth, there has got to be time in there for developing our skills.
Absolutely.
I love the whole becoming a master presenter. There is a lot of people out there that this is the Achilles heel, because they get nervous in front of people, they don't necessarily have the experience and so forth. But that does not keep you, doesn't keep anyone from actually mastering this. What keeps you from mastering it is learning how to do it.
Yeah.
And just in anything with sales and leadership and communication, there are so many great resources, so many great classes, so many things that we could be looking up and spending some time, whether it's daily, whether it's an hour in the day. I mean, the hour of the day. I mean, you should be reading real estate news, what's going on in the real estate world. There's so many things out there to help us, but we get caught up in the busyness of being busy,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's okay. Some people say, you know what, it'd be a waste of time to spend an hour a day reading a book.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what the book is.
Right.
If the book's going to help me become a master presenter, that is not a waste of time, because in the long run, maybe even the short run, it will help me become more productive, because the better I am at presenting my material to a buyer, the more sales that I will get.
And the more they're going to trust you. You know, we teach our coaching clients to study the common objections, 45 minutes a day and role play, because what we're doing is we're studying for the test.
Yeah, and everybody says, I don't want to role play. Okay, well, then you don't want to get better.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean, I would on the role playing, I mean, and that's the other thing in our coaching program. You talked about these objections, the common objections. We have the material, we have the responses. You join our coaching program, get your hands on that, but then study it and role play it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think it's uncomfortable to role play with your coach, think about how uncomfortable it is when there's 10 grand on the line.
Yeah.
At least with your coach, it's a safe environment.
Yeah, and it's free.
All right. Well, okay. I'm boom,
Boom.
boom. That was good. Well done.
All right.
That was.
Did I beat Matt?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you bet.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
So yeah, that's just phenomenal stuff as always, and we always maintain. If you want to get a copy of any of these slides and so forth, you can always email us at webinar@westusa.com, and what we'll do is we'll put these into PDFs for you so that you have them. This is just a tip of the iceberg of the stuff that you will learn, the skills that you will gain by joining our coaching program. It is really just putting boots to the ground, learning the tips, and being held accountable. So if you'd like some more information about that, go ahead and reach out to Scott Colbert. There's his email address, and you can track him down and just sit down with one of the coaches for a consultation. And I'm telling you, I'd do it.
Well, right now they're all offering a free 2015 business planning. They're going to show you on an Excel spreadsheet. You tell them how much you want to earn. Scott, you should be talking about this, because it's your baby. But you put in the amount of money you want to earn, or the number of units, and it'll tell you how all the way up conversion rates to how many you have to have in escrow, how many listings you have to make, how many appointments, how many prospects.
Yeah, we're scheduling that now, so definitely shoot me an email at scott.colbert@westusa.com, and those of you that have emailed me know that I'll be reaching out to you to get you scheduled right away.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Bob, I know that you missed me last week, so here I am. Here you are. Welcome. I hope you had a wonderful New Year, and help us stay out of trouble.
Why did I miss you?
I wasn't here.
Oh, maybe I wasn't either. No, I was. Scott, that's interesting what you're saying about coaching and everything. Years ago, I used to wear a gold jacket,
Oh, yeah?
if you get it.
I
And one of the guys I had come work for me, his name was Doyle Elliott. And he came in and he just walked in. He says, "Okay, what do I do, boss?" And I threw the phone book at him. I said, "Sit down and call 100 people." I said, "Not just 100, but talk to 100 people. Do that every day from 9 o'clock until you get done. And ask them if they want to list their house. And if they don't want to, ask them if they know anybody that wants to. And work on that. And if anybody wants to buy a house, and then hang up on them. Don't mess around very long. Just go on to the next one and dial it now." He did that every day for years, for 3 years. He usually got from 20 to 30 listings a month.
Wow. I say he'd probably change his name to Donald Trump shortly after that.
No, he went 3 years until he could get a broker's license. Then he became Diamond Realty.
Wow.
And I guess a lot of you have heard of Diamond Realty. He's around for a long time. And about 10, 12, 15 years ago, something like that, maybe a dozen years ago, he just got tired of everything and went out in the field out here with his motorcycle and took out a gun and went away. So he's a good old boy, Doyle Elliott. I'll never forget him. He was a guy that really went after it.
Wow.
And one day he said, "Here's another listing, boss." I said, "Well, wait a minute, what'd you charge here?" "Oh, I see what you charge. Why don't you charge more than that?" So he raised his percentage up 1%, and that's the way he did it from then on. Was an old vacuum cleaner salesman, and this dude was good.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Doyle Elliott.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
Yeah, well, when you've been around 40 years, you got a couple of
You got a
stories.
few.
Yeah, you get a couple.
Wish Mike had stories like that.
Oh. Here's another story I got this week, last Thursday here. I got a call from somebody that says, "Bob, I'm going to make a sale on a vacant lot with my father. He wants to buy this vacant lot. Is anything I should know?" I said, "Well, make sure that the vacant lot, that you know where it's been. It's always been there, but what's been happening on it." He says, "Yeah, I got all that straightened around." He says, "Oh, they did tell me that there is a buried pool on that lot. I said, well, what are you going to do with it? He says, well, my father's going to build a house on it. I said, well, now there's something to take into consideration. You may not get a permit for it with a buried pool under a house. You may have to excavate all of that stuff and figure that in your cost of building and everything. You need to think about that a little bit. Your father knows about these things. He says, yeah, he's good at this stuff. I said, all right, then remember to factor that into your price. He says, I'm glad you told me that. Now we can go forth. And I said, if you get any issues, give me a call and I'll help you out. And here's another lady that called me a couple of times, and I don't know what to say about this, but if you've got a rental where you're in control of it and you're taking in the money and everything, get the paperwork done so you can pay the co-broke rental agent. Now, this gal has been looking for her check for 2 months, and it's the agent that just hasn't turned in the paperwork. So I got on him, and he said, oh, yeah, Bob, I'll do that right away. But he didn't do it right away, so I had to call him again. Now this morning I'll have to check on that again. But remember, on the other side of these things, there's somebody waiting for that money that they earned, and it might be their car payment. You don't know what that money goes for. You don't know what position they're in, and they need to have their money, folks. Get in there and take care of paying co-brokes in that case like that. Then there was another lady called me up. She says, I'm on a lease, and I don't want to be on the lease. I haven't lived in this house for a year and a half. Oh, she was living with somebody else. Her and her husband, I guess. There was 4 people living in an apartment, and they moved out a year and a half ago. Well, now they've gotten a notice that they're going to be evicted because the manager believes that they still live there. So they've got that eviction notice, and there isn't much you can do about that. They may have moved, but you see, they have to keep that, the lawyers have to keep that in order so that they make darn sure that they've been evicted via court order. So there wasn't much I could do about that, but she should have taken care of that at the time with the property manager and taken care of it. So that's another one of those issues we run into during the week. And somebody else here says, I'm going to take a property as a listing, and they've got a tenant in there right now, and the owner wants to take and give the 30-day notice to cancel the tenancy and get rid of the tenant. Can I fill out that paperwork? Well, you don't have a listing on it. You don't have anything going. Give them the paperwork. That's fine. You can take it out of our zip forms and give them the proper piece of paper. She said, well, I'll just fill it out for them. No, that would be a lawyer's job because you're not involved in any way with this person right now. You've not been employed. So give them the form, let them fill it out, let them take care of it. Because if you fill it out at this point and you're wrong somewhere and we get sued on it, you've got a problem. You've got a problem there. So I'm glad she called me on that, asked me about it. And here's something else that Sue Fluke gave me, Lease Owners Advisory. She says, Bob, make sure everybody furnishes their lease owners, the people that they're going to do the property management on. Lease Owners Advisory is 6 pages of stuff. And this is darn good stuff. It's things that you tell a lease owner, some of you do, but what if you didn't tell them? What if you did not? They need to know the affidavit of legal class correction, notification of property business license, transaction privilege taxes, all kinds of stuff. There's 6 pages. Disability laws. You need to give this to somebody that owns a house that's leasing it out. That's important. So get that in your package, and it's called LOA in zip forms. It needs to be something that you hand out to everybody. Let's see, tomorrow is Realtor Day at the Capitol. I hope there's a lot of you going to that. My wife said, well, we have to go to that, I guess. I said, well, yes, if you don't go, I have signed up for it, and if we don't go, I have to give them $50 because they've already bought the food for me. It's free for realtors that sign up for it. But if you don't go, you got to pony up $25 a person. So we'll be at the Realtor Day at the Capitol tomorrow. That's always a great event, and I hope there's a lot of the agents go to that. It's very interesting to get to know these, what I used to call the 90 dwarves, but maybe I should be careful how I say that anymore. You know, one of them wanted to get us on daylight saving time already. Did you read that? That's that guy that they left him off of the ballot in Peoria, and they had to have another election so they could have him on the ballot because he's supposed to be. So now he's already starting with crapola like that, daylight saving time, and we're the one state along with Hawaii, according to the paper, and my wife said Montana also that doesn't have daylight saving time. So I've got, on Wednesday, I've got some people coming in, college hunks hauling junk. Did we have them up here? I don't know if we had them sitting here one day or not, but anyway, these guys, there's a moving company. Nice people, and they'll be at a lot of the meetings, and you can know somebody that takes care of hauling junk. Or, well, I'm going to call it junk. It's your furniture. Here's one right now. Here's a regulatory bulletin that Michael got for me. Wasn't available, and I asked him to look it up, and he found it. Well, I ought to have it here somewhere. It says, buying or selling an owner-built home. Somebody said, can I sell this home? The owner built it, and there's no problems here, is there? Well, there is, yes. You cannot sell it for 1 year unless it's owner-occupied. You can't rent it out either. And there's a lot of agents that don't know this. This is something I knew from a long time ago because Chris Combs wrote about it. And you have to get this information. I don't know how I'm going to get this out. My computer's down today, so maybe can we put it on the dashboard? There you go. Yeah, you know what happens? These morons, they sit here and punch that little bell when I say, I'm not even going to say it. But I want to send this regulatory bulletin out so that everybody has it, and we'll put it on the dashboard now. Statutory protection requirements for owner-built homes. Let me read you the first one here. An owner-builder must occupy their new home themselves for at least 1 year after obtaining an occupancy permit and are not permitted to sell or rent the new home during that 1 year period. So now this goes back to November 19th of 2007, but prior to that time, there was an owner-builder declaration and disclosure notice within the first 10 years after occupancy. You have to guarantee that house is okay for 10 years. So there's a lot of work to do on these things, so don't even try one of these. And on one part of this thing, it says that the real estate agent will be penalized if they go ahead and actuate one of these things and make it happen. But I want everybody to have a copy of that, and we'll see that you get it. I imagine my wife will have my computer fixed by the time I get home anyway. She doesn't let things like that wait. Oh, there was another one that I got. We got a counteroffer. One of the gals called me up, and she says, we have failed to reply to this counteroffer. It's been an extra day now, and we haven't replied to it. So the seller wants me to, the seller's agent wants me to write rejected on it and send it back over there. I don't have to do that, do I, Bob? What's the answer?
Yes, the seller told you.
They-
Seller tells you to do it. You got to do it.
No, but we got the buyer.
Oh.
We got the buyer here, and we don't have to do it. If you read contracts, read them and see what they say. It says, if you don't sign it by a certain time, this counteroffer shall be considered withdrawn. See, so there isn't even an offer there. So if you sign it and say rejected, why would you do that since there isn't an offer anymore? But very few agents read this stuff. And apparently Susie Corona did, because she was aware of this, and it was fun speaking with her last Thursday. How's our time going,
We're
boys?
pretty much done.
We're pretty much done. All right.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
I'm gonna
Always.
cut and run then. That'll be good.
All right. As always, please, if you haven't already, go ahead and like us on Facebook.com/West USA Realty Inc. More than just liking us, this is obviously one of the popular mediums that we use to get information, announcements, and so forth out to you. So please be in the habit of every day or a couple times a day just checking back just to see what's happening. And as mentioned earlier, and as a reminder, we will not be having a webinar next Monday in honor of Martin Luther King Day and the fact that our offices will be closed. And I will leave you with this thought from Dr. King. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Folks, have a great day and go out and sell a home.